All right. How are y'all doing? Happy Thursday. We'll see if anybody else comes, but first, I just want to invite, since we're such a lovely, intimate group, if you feel comfortable, you can totally come closer. I promise I will not bite. But if you are comfortable where you are, please stay there. Welcome to Thursday night. We're going to do a little Tonglen meditation tonight. My name is Michael. I've been practicing Buddhism for 2 decades now, and I've had the opportunity to go practice with a bunch of teachers around the world. I feel very, very fortunate. Must have done something right in the past life. So, I'm really excited to speak with you here tonight. And as they say at this temple, I am not a guru. I am just a student, just like you, who is excited to share this practice. So, has anybody done Tonglen before? I know at least 3 of you were here a couple of weeks. A little bit. Cool. Yeah. Not yet. Maybe. Yes.
Well, not here yet.
Okay. Not here yet. Perfect. Great. And do you mostly practice Zen?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Nice. So, yeah, great sweatshirt. Never been there, but I've heard a lot of great things about it. Yeah. It's just got that Zen look to him. Tonglen, I'll give you a little bit of history, but mostly I just want to practice with you all. Tonglen is a Tibetan practice. So that's in the Mahayana school of Buddhism, traditionally practiced in Tibet. The first time I learned this was in Nepal, where a lot of Tibetan refugees live. And the name Tonglen in Tibetan literally means giving and receiving. And so that's what we're going to practice tonight, giving and receiving. Anybody do visualizations before? Has anybody done a visualization? Yeah. Okay. Tonglen is traditionally done with the breath and with visualizations. So if you like visualizing, this practice is for you. And if you don't like visualizing, great, this practice can also be for you. It's really more about connecting with the sensation, what it feels like. And sometimes it can be helpful to visualize something. So I will walk you through all of that. And hopefully at the end, we'll have some time and space for questions too. Anything anybody wants to toss out into the space or questions before we get started? Like, dude, let's go. I'm ready to practice. Okay, great. So we are going to do the first step in Tonglen, which is basically opening. And when I mean open, I want you to, like, as far as you think you can possibly open, go a little bit further. Sometimes it might be helpful to visualize like a meadow or a vast, vast sky or whatever makes you feel spacious. Maybe that word. If you like, you can close your eyes. Take a big, deep breath in. And you can let it out. Feeling your body's natural, relaxing, letting go with the out breath. Another deep breath in. Hold it at the top and let it out. Feeling how your body naturally settles, naturally releases. And now you can settle into a natural rhythm of breathing. If it's deep, let it be deep. If it's shallow, let it be shallow. And with each in-breath and out-breath, I want you to think of that space, that open spaciousness. Maybe it's helpful to visualize an open meadow, maybe the vast sky or ocean in front of you. You might feel into your body, feel the edges of the skin. And then what's a little bit beyond that? And then a little bit beyond that. Just connecting to this natural openness, the spaciousness. Breathing in, feeling the freshness of the air. Breathing out, releasing, letting go into open spaciousness. Just like a bird flying through a meadow or a cloud passing through the sky, thoughts are going to come. It's totally natural. It's what the mind does. And you really don't need to do anything about them. Clouds are going to pass. Birds are going to fly. Thoughts will come and go. If you find yourself wrapped up in a thought or a sensation, you might say to yourself, open or spacious. And come back to that wide open feeling of expansion. Breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Breathing out, know that you are breathing out. In breath and out breath. All of it occurring in this wide open spaciousness. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to bring us back. But even as you open your eyes, see if you can connect to that feeling of openness, spaciousness. Great. And if your eyes are closed, you can feel free to open them. But really, this time is yours. So if you're feeling it and you want to just keep practicing, completely ignore my voice and do that. So I'm interested to hear from folks. How was that? What did it feel like to connect to openness, spaciousness? Yeah.
For me, it's a little bit like connecting to nature.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Yeah. So for me, it's like the easiest thing was the ocean. And, it's that moment that you've been out to sea and like all you can see is sea and sea and sea. And then there's just nothing but sea. Exactly. It's a weird feeling, if you've ever got to feel that. And it's that feeling for me that, just has it's just you and nature, and that to me is that openness.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, it was like a starry Milky Way galaxy, the universe, the spiral.
Nice.
Amazing. And I kept going back and forth. Do you know what fractals are? And the Vanderbilt going into infinity. It's like the infinity.
Yeah.
Buddha bro and all coming around.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, these both sound amazing. Yeah.
Kind of similar. I watched a video that was trying to explain how, like, giving us like measurements of how far away by light years of like how far away the Big Bang is. And so my intellectual mind was kind of going there. At first I was like, okay, I'm in like the core of the earth and I'm feeling the density. I'm like going out and past these galaxies and this galaxies. And then I could feel that it was an intellectual spaciousness, and which felt very different from the heart space.
Sure.
I felt like at one point when it was just intellectual, I was like, okay, I'm really far out here. I feel like I'm really far out. Am I too far? Can I get back? And then going into the heart, any of that fear, any of that like was immediately gone. So
wow. So you were able to connect with the vastness while staying connected to your heart as well.
Yes.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. And I really like to involve a lot of sharing when we do these, because you might hear something that somebody else did and say, oh my gosh, yeah. But even if you hear something, you're like, what is that? I can't even imagine that. Try to, because your mind can go there too. And it's actually really helpful for your mind to stretch itself a little bit. What would that feel like to go beyond, to infinity and beyond with your heart right there? Okay, so why do we connect to spaciousness? We talked about this a little bit last time, but in the practice of Tonglen is one of fearlessness. And we're going to talk about that more, but it's really important first to connect to a sense of spaciousness before we get into the fearlessness, right? In Tibetan Buddhism, they call that spaciousness or that openness bodhicitta, which literally translates to awaken, bodhi, like Buddha kind of, and then citta, which is mind, right? So it's the awakened mind, right? The mind that is so vast, so spacious that no matter what comes into it, it can hold that too, right? No matter what kind of anger you're dealing with, it can hold that too. One of my favorite teachers likes to say, if you have a raging bull, give it a big pasture. right? And I'm sure everybody in this room can think of something that they are going through or recently went through that felt completely overwhelming, right? And yet you're here because something can hold all of that. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we call that bodhicitta, or you might have heard before, your Buddha nature, right? Excuse me. So it's the sense that at our core essence, right, we have the capacity to hold. Very important, because what we are going to do next is go walk along the path of fearlessness. What do most of us do when we encounter something unpleasant or painful?
Run away.
Run away. Yep, exactly. And we all have different ways of doing that, right? Some of us smoke things, some of us drink things, some of us just scroll nonstop, right? There's so many ways to run away from what's actually happening. And in fact, most of, I would argue, our system teaches us and gives us lots of cheap and expensive and very expensive ways to do that, right? But so much of this practice is about being with what actually is, not running away. Fearlessness. I was teaching with a friend recently, and he was telling me about we were teaching together the 6 paramitas, or the 6 perfections. Has anybody ever heard of those before? Yeah? Nice. Well, we got some seasoned vets in the room. All right. And if you don't know what they are, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you really quickly. So basically, they are the qualities that we cultivate to develop an enlightened mind. And the first one, anybody want to guess or know what the first one is? Generosity. Exactly. Dana, right? Now, generosity has 3 different layers to it, right? The first one is material giving, right? You could give a sandwich, you could give money, you could give clothing, you could give shelter, and all of that is wonderful. It's really important, right? The third level is giving Dharma, right? So teaching the things that are going to free people. But the second level is giving fearlessly, which is a really interesting concept, right? Why do you think the Buddha taught us to give fearlessly? Anybody? Yeah.
What are the words? There isn't anything that we could give to somebody else that would actually take away from our soul, from our nature, from ourselves.
Exactly. It's this idea of selflessness, right? We often, and you see it all the time, people give material, but they're doing it kind of for themselves, right? How many charities are there out there that are really just like tax write-offs, right? And not to say that money isn't doing something good, right? From a Buddhist perspective, even if it's totally selfish, but you give a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to somebody who needs it, that's great, right? The karma is not as great as you giving that selflessly. And in fact, the fearless way, the next level would be to do it where there's no attachment to the self, right? So that's what Tonglen is. It's this idea that we are going to take on suffering with our in-breath, and then we are going to give away whatever we could possibly give to alleviate that suffering. Even if it's just a tiny little molecule of happiness. If that's all you have to give, great. Wonderful. And give it fearlessly. In the sense that I don't need it back, right? I'm not going to hope that someday, what's my return on investment with this Tonglen, right? It's not about that. You are giving selflessly, fearlessly, because you're guided by the want for the other person to be free from their suffering, right? That is bodhicitta. It is the great mind that thinks of others first, right? The Dalai Lama has a great line where he says, if you want to practice wise selfishness, help others be happy, right? Wise selfishness, because it actually feels pretty good. And we're gonna try that right now. So if you want to find a comfortable position, you can close your eyes if that feels good. There's no posture that's going to make you more enlightened than another one. The most important thing is that you can breathe. And so it can be helpful to straighten your spine. Sometimes I like to think of a little string on top of my head, just gently pulling up and relaxing my shoulders. This way I'm awake and I'm alert, but I'm also relaxed. You might start to notice your breath, gently breathing in and breathing out. You might notice how your body is naturally receiving the air, receiving that nourishing oxygen flowing into your lungs. And with the exhale, you naturally give carbon dioxide, feeding the plants. Breathing in, being nourished by this air. Breathing out, relaxing, giving. So for a few cycles of breath, I want you to just tune into that. Just receiving with the in-breath and releasing, giving away with the out-breath. If it's helpful, you might think about the nourishing oxygen and all the thing that's doing for your body. And with the exhale, you might think of all the beautiful green things in this world. May they take this nourishment too, the natural carbon dioxide that you're breathing out. Breathing in, receiving. Breathing out, giving. Releasing. Now I'm going to talk you through a little visualization. And if that's easy for you, tune into it. If not, don't worry about it. Just feel whatever you feel in your body. I want you to call to mind someone who it's easy to love. Maybe your pet, maybe your spouse, maybe your family, maybe a best friend. Don't think about it too hard. Whoever shows up is perfect. I want you to picture them in front of you. And get specific about it. What are they wearing? What expression do they have on their face? What's their posture? And now I want you to think about something that that person might be struggling with, or that they are struggling with. Maybe it's internal, mentally or physically. Or maybe it's external. Something in their life right now that's really hard. And if it helps, you might visualize that as sort of a weight or a heaviness. Maybe you notice it in their posture. Maybe you notice it in their face. And with your next in-breath, I want you to imagine taking on that pain, taking it away from them. You might visualize like a black cloud, and you're breathing it in all the way deep into your lungs. But just like we release carbon dioxide, when you breathe out, it comes out as pure white light, filling them with joy. As you breathe in, again, taking on a little bit of their pain, as much as you can. Breathing out, sending them whatever joy, whatever peace, ease, rest that they need. Breathing in, taking on that black cloud, that heaviness, that constriction. Breathing in, and remember, you're breathing into spaciousness, your bodhicitta. There's room for this. So just like a cloud disappears in the sky, so does their pain. And you can send back this loving, joyful thought. May you be well. May you be free from suffering. And with each in-breath, you might think about them feeling a little less burdened. With each out-breath, maybe a little bit more of a smile shows up on their face. A little bit lighter, a little bit more at ease. Breathing in, receiving their pain. Breathing out, giving away your joy. If at any time the pain feels like too much, remember that you are breathing into open spaciousness. You are the ocean. There is room for this too. When you breathe out, it's with this loving intention. May they be well. May they be free from suffering. You might picture a white light or a nice fluffy white cloud, or maybe it's just a sense of a smile on their face. And if it feels like that person is done, you might call to mind somebody else. Who else could use a little bit of your support right now? Or if you want to stick with that person, that's fine too. Again, see these people in front of you. Visualize their pain. And as you breathe it in, really try to feel it. Feel their loneliness, their hurt, their depression, their sadness, their addiction, whatever it is that they're going through. Feel that in your own body. And with your exhale, let it be transformed. Give away whatever it is that you have to give. If it's helpful, you might even imagine as you breathe in that pain, breathe it into whatever part of you still holds on to being small, to being limited, to holding, to being selfish. Great. Breathe it into that. And as you breathe it in, it explodes into light. And that light nourishes this person in front of you. You give it away freely, fearlessly. Now, for the last few moments, I want you to drop all visualization, drop all effort, and see if you can just rest in spaciousness. Don't even try to meditate. It's as if you're letting your mind just flop onto a couch after a very long day. If your eyes were closed, you can gently open them. Or again, if you're feeling some type of way and you want to just stick with that, please go right ahead. So we'll practice one more time, but before we do, that's a lot. There's a lot of things going on in that meditation. This isn't just watching your breath, which is fantastic, by the way. This is breath, this is visualization, there's pain, there's suffering, there's joy, there's so much going on. So just to say, like any skill, if this feels super awkward at first, completely understandable, right? It takes a little while to learn these things. The key is just to keep practicing. Anybody have anything that they want to share? Something that was difficult, something that was interesting that showed up for you? Maybe somebody we haven't heard from yet?
It just felt peaceful. It was nice.
Great.
Actually, I kind of visualized the person and they kind of perked up over time. Right?
Okay.
Clearly, they looked not so happy at the beginning, but progressively they looked more peaceful themselves.
Yeah. So at first you saw them, they looked down, sad, and then slowly they started to perk up over time. I'm interested, what did that feel like in your body as you watched them perk up, as you visualize them change?
It was a little bit, it took a little bit of energy for me actually, because it almost, I feel like I'm in a helping profession.
Sure.
So it felt a little bit similar,
Yep.
seeing the end results and like the progression.
Yep.
It made it kind of worth it, and it felt like that energy it took was going to good use.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Amazing. Anybody else want to add on?
I had a little bit of feelings or thoughts about like questioning whether I was like giving enough, or like how can I take, like I wanted to like take all of their pain away or their suffering.
Right.
And then after practicing a while, and I think at one point you said if it's starting to feel like too much to go to that open space, which for me was a wide open beach. And so I just kind of like went over. It's almost like I went over to that department for a little bit.
Sure.
Hung out there and then came back.
Yeah.
It just sort of like smoothed things out.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling as, I don't know, self-critical or self-judgment.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And I can almost guarantee you were not the only person who felt like that. Last week or 2 weeks ago, somebody said when they were taking on the pain, they were visualizing black smoke, and it almost felt like suffocating, like a constriction in their throat, and that they like couldn't breathe for a sec, right? So first off, I just want to say, just like him, that means so much that you have that much compassion, right? The first thing that you said was, I want to take on their pain, which is beautiful. Like that is the essence of compassion, that I want you to be free from suffering. And that sense that like we are constricted, part of that, and especially in this, in the way that we are doing this meditation, is to rewire our brain to remind ourselves that we can actually, right? That is the fear in us thinks that I'm suffocating, right? I can't do this. I don't have enough to give. I'm not, who am I to like relieve them of their pain, right? As a wise man once said, who are you not to, right? And in fact, we have that spaciousness, right? Like we have that capacity to be able to hold that, right? Now, I'm sure somebody out there is thinking like, well, isn't that kind of like codependent? And aren't you like being, taking on too much? And couldn't that result? I mean, caregiver fatigue is a very real thing, right? There's a fair amount of literature to look at something called empathy fatigue, right? So real. And so what I really want to point to is that intention that you brought up, that I wish for you to be free of suffering, that is really what you want to connect with, right? Not this sense of like, do I have enough? Do I not have it? It's really about the other person, right? That said, we can do Tonglen for ourselves. In fact, maybe we'll end with that. But you can think about, may I be free from this? And sometimes it's helpful to think of yourself in front of you and then be that better version of yourself, that wiser, more compassionate version that can take on that pain, right? And can let it go. All this to say that this is training, right? This is all part of the Tonglen originally comes from a Tibetan text, which literally means, it's called Lojong, and it literally means mind training, right? These are spiritual push-ups, teaching us to be strong, to be fearless, and to be able to take on pain and give away whatever we have. Anybody want to share? Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
So is the recommendation to practice with your eyes closed? Because I'm so used to practicing with my eyes slightly open.
Sure.
So
Sure. Sure.
But,
Yeah. Oh, you Soto Zen folks, get out of here. No, that's absolutely against the rules, and you're going to accumulate a ton of bad karma. So sucks for you.
I kept finding myself like, close your eyes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's totally personal preference. If for a lot of people, especially with visualizations, it can be helpful to close your eyes so that you don't get distracted by lights or whatever. But if it's most comfortable for you to keep them half open, half closed, that worked out pretty well for him. Yeah.
Oh, at one point I was feeling physical sensations.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the intellect and the mind is kind of the duality for me tonight, or what's coming up the most. So at one point I was also like, I want to be able to do more. How can I do more? And as soon as I thought I'm like, okay, then suddenly I'm back in just me and just Anna and not that spaciousness.
Right.
So I was able to get out of the mind and into the heart. And as soon as I did that, I felt like the physical sensations around shoulders and chest being able to actually give more, because it wasn't me.
So beautifully said. Yeah.
I always have this issue about suffering and pain. Like when I was doing exercise, it's like I want to take the suffering, but I want to leave the pain. So there's something to learn from. That comes back to me. I have this concept of necessary suffering. I don't want to get rid of it all because it's there for a reason. So get rid of most of it. The unnecessary, which is I'm way too hard on myself, blah blah blah. But just so it's kind of like, I don't know, that's a judgment thing. Obviously a judgment thing, but where it comes from, I don't know. Probably my Catholic upbringing. Suffering, you too shall be free. Not cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to say here, and it's not just a Catholic thing. Thich Nhat Hanh loves to say, "No mud, no lotus." Right. And there's a reason that the first thing that Buddha taught, anybody know? The Four Noble Truths. You know what the first one is? There is suffering, right? He did not start off by saying, you know what you can do with the mind? Reach this incredible bliss that feels like unlike anything you've ever, right? He could have started there, but he didn't. He started with suffering, right? And there was a reason for that. And I think what you're pointing towards is actually a wonderful little nuance that comes back to that same compassionate thought, which is, I want you to be able to learn from this. I want you to be able to grow. I want you to be able to one day flourish and thrive looking back on this difficult time in your life, which is still a compassionate thought, right? And in the moment, if you can make their life a little bit easier, right? Or support them in their suffering. Maybe there's a version of this where you don't actually take it away. You're just totally there with them to support them, right? And maybe that's what it looks like, right?
Thank
Cool.
you for sharing.
Yeah. Great. So I want to do one more practice with you, and then we'll open it up at the end for some more questions if people have them. There's two ways that we could go with this. One way would be to do it towards ourselves. And actually in most Western groups that I work with, doing it towards yourself is actually one of the hardest things to do because we have very complex relationships with ourselves. Another thing that we could do is do it towards all sentient beings. Do people have a preference, or does either of those seem like, I want to go this way, or I want to go this way? Self? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of selves. Great. Okay, wonderful. No, this is good. This is very good, because I think that practicing this Tonglen, especially when you find yourself with that inner critic that shows up differently for all of us, but we all have that voice. This is one of the best practices to do with that voice. So find your posture, whatever that is for you. Awake and relaxed. And notice your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Before we drop in, connect to that sense of open spaciousness. And maybe it's the sky, the galaxy, maybe it's a beautiful beach, or being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Or maybe it's just simply noticing what the air feels like just a little bit beyond the edges of your arms. This sense of open spaciousness. As you breathe in, you might feel the freshness of that. And as you breathe out, you release into this boundless abode. And now I want you to visualize yourself in front of you. And a way to do this might be to think back to a time when you were really hurting, even if that was 20 seconds ago. What were you wearing? What was your hair styled like at the time? More importantly, what was on your face? What kind of posture did you have? What was going on in your body? What was going on in your mind? See yourself in front of you hurting like this, struggling like this, and notice what immediately comes up. How do you feel towards yourself? Is there a sense of, oh yeah, you deserve it? Or is there a sense of, wow, I'm so sorry? It looks like you're really hurting right now. See if you can connect to even a molecule, even a modicum of that feeling of compassion, seeing yourself hurting in front of you like that. And with your next in-breath, I want you to imagine taking away, breathing in a little bit of that black cloud, a little bit of that heaviness, that constriction. Breathing it in again to this open spaciousness that is you. And as you breathe out, you send a little bit of joy, a little bit of love, a little bit of sense that it's going to be okay to yourself. Breathing in your pain. And breathing out, giving away joy, peace, ease. For some people, you might notice the visualization collapse, and that version of you is you, and you are feeling that pain. Good. breathe into it. Really try to feel it. Feel it as much as you can on the in-breath, and as you breathe out, let it all go. The exhale is your body's natural way of releasing. And with that release comes a little bit of ease, a little bit of joy, a little bit of spaciousness. Breathing in, feeling that pain with a sense of, I hope that you are free from this suffering. Breathing out, may you feel ease. May you feel peace. May you feel joy. And with each in-breath, you imagine that version of yourself a little less burdened, a little less heavy. With each out-breath, they're filled with a little bit more joy, a little bit more confidence. A little bit more peace. Again, if it ever feels too tight, you can always return to that spaciousness. Remembering that this is a practice of fearlessness, that you have the space to hold all of it. Breathing in, I'm here for you. I see you. Breathing out, I love you. For the last few rounds of breath, you might just think about all the other people who also are struggling with whatever it was that you're struggling with. And with your in-breath, you might think, I feel what you feel. Taking on a little bit of what they're feeling. And with your out-breath, the most important part, send them whatever joy, whatever peace, stability, freedom that you can. May all beings who experience this be free. And in the final moments, you can drop the meditation entirely. Simply rest in spaciousness. And you might give yourself just a little wiggle, a little shake. We just moved a whole lot of stuff around, so feel free to move your body if that feels comfortable for you. And open your eyes if they were closed. And if that was really hard for you, that's totally understandable. If that was really easy for you, that's also really understandable. Right? Whatever you felt, the fact that you showed up for yourself in this moment to send yourself that love, that is the practice. Anybody want to share anything that came up for them? Cool.
I think what I felt was peace. And it wasn't like resolving something or getting an answer or healing a trauma or healing a wound. It was just peace.
Wow.
And it was good. Thank you.
Thank you. What a beautiful share. These technologies, and I do see meditation as a technology, right, work in ways that we are often not used to. We are used to, I'm going to take a pill, it's going to make me feel a certain way, and then tomorrow it's going to be gone, right? And that's just not always how the mind works. So especially tonight, I invite anybody who just be kind to yourself, right? If you have some weird dreams tonight, totally understandable. If you're feeling a little like tense or tight, great, breathe into that, right? Or awakening, all kinds of stuff. I'll stick around for anybody who wants to ask questions or, hang out, but I also want to be respectful of your time. So the last thing that we'll do, you don't have to, but I invite you, if it feels comfortable, we're going to dedicate the merit of what we just did. So if it feels comfortable, you can put your hands together and you can repeat after me. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the awareness that is completely devoid of suffering. And may all sentient beings rest in love. Thank you all.
Yeah, really great. Hello guys, I'm Anna. Hi. I'm tonight's host. So we opened Dharmabumtemple about 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practices to those who want to show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers and aren't looking for students. They're simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. There's a recovery sangha that meets several times a week with anybody with addiction issues. There's a food redistribution program every Thursday at 4:30 for this. We have classes and programs every day, and everything offered here is always free. The full schedule is on our website, but it's also posted right outside. It's above the entryway, above the shoe rack. We have a lending library also. Go check those books out. There's some really good ones in there, guys. If you see a book that you like, feel free to borrow it and then just bring it back whenever you're done. If you could all please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out, and if anybody could stay to help close the windows, that would be really helpful. Thank you so much for being here. We wish you well and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.